It's a good orb. And a good return to board. So the Euro map is, in its current state, nearly complete. Get a full pass of labeling, adjusting. All the tax numbers are on it. Icons for cities, for harbors. Labels for all the sea zones. Just tucked away in there. All that's left missing from this, for it to be feature complete, is trade zone icons and sea risk icons. Just need an orb, square, a few happy little clouds. And then half of the entire thing will be done with. Also chipped away at. I did a pass of aligning some of these numbers a little better up on the grid. Clean that up, and I've gone and labeled all the colonial zones, thrown in relevant icons where they show up, places that have cities, ports, harbor, etc. The handful of rest of world provinces that play by normal Euro rules, all marked out on there. What's left to transfer up from there is some semblance of the colony data. The number of ratings, the trade goods, the local resistance numbers, which I think, yeah, these should be consolidated into some sort of icon that I can then just stamp down on each zone, one by one. And then also trade zones, pirates, sea risk, but two of those are what's about to be worked on for the sake of Euromap. This is all getting increasingly close to done with. I brightened up some of the colors to help make text more visible, as is a concern now that text is there. Good times. Now let's get over here to trade zone icon. Where I've gone and, pre-famulated some amulite. That's about the size of the square one. That's about the size of all the round ones. And just a little test gradient there that would be pretty easily reproduced. Just, okay, it's a radial from, color of the sea off to color appropriate for countries. So this one would be the Ottoman trade node. Just take this, apply name, number, apply boat icon of some sort. Either exactly a redrawing of this one, or maybe some re-engineering thereof. And that would have the whole thing in pretty decent shape. For the moment, let's think about boat. So the original, as it was put together, just a white silhouette on a blue through green background. Kinda... roughly that. Not a bad approach, all things considered. It's like that they have there as their silhouette for some manner of Carrick, of Cog. A ship of lines. And we could just kind of gently sculpt that into boat shape. Sails and all. It's as good a simple as any of just commerce of the era. These and other later, taller ships. This was the tech. This was the engine. Driving economy. Keeping the mainsail open is just the blank space in which to write numbers. That's sensible. Just to leave me a bit of room to toy with the silhouette, though. I think I will. Gonna make the deck stand out a bit more. Make the hull more prominent. I should probably stream a run through of Earthbound myself at some point. Good times waiting to be had. Go down to a size 1 brush. Very finely chisel out that little slightest bit of the tip of the mast. And how does this look at a distance? Vaguely boat-like. Sharpen up these edges a little more. It's interesting how much of the overall progression of Earthbound you can re-experience just from hearing the soundtrack in order. Yeah, it just speaks well to how many unique tracks there are. On that whole collection. Very little is reused. Also, just popping over to look at it, yeah, 3 hours and 20 minutes of material here. That is a lot. For a SNES. For a SNES anything. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate all of these layers. Then merge the duplicates. Then I'll have the one flat object that I can grab and copy and send places. Take it over into the wild and see how it behaves. Seven generic trade zones. 8? I don't think I counted Irish Sea there on the first go around. So paste you in there. Place you accordingly. Just this square and a number 5 here. The board game acknowledges more of how important to the regional economy the Caspian Sea was than most of the remaining computer para games. Just out of like all of their engines across the span of the franchise, do not like the idea of an isolated body of water. If you can't reach anywhere on the sea from anywhere else on the sea, the math gets dangerous. So yeah, what we're passing over here. The anchor is pretty much as closely as I could, just a redraw of the anchor sprite that was originally there on the old board. And then for the fort, I made an actual icon of it. The underlying fort is just like an upright little cross. Turned it into an X and tried to kind of make it resemble a bastion. The corner fort, you know, with the long, spiky bits to create fields of fire between them. As were popular throughout the era. Robust, defensible orb. Alright, so that's all the square ones. Alright, so now there would be a bit of back and forth as I take the round background. suppose I could also export each iteration of this into a file and then import that into the Euro map. It's probably a cleaner workflow for these ones. This is Ottoman Trade. .png. Pictures taken instantly. Alright, there we go. Now I got that exact selection. So, blending. From a foreground color of that water shade there to a background color of, you know, whatever per country. So it just grabs a full red, and then British node, well, from more like over here, so it has a bit of an arc to it. No, it's defaulted back to linear rather than radial. Come here. Stop that. Yeah, and round that. British. And export, and on to the next. Of the fade from blue to more different blue for France. Alright, so that's 4 permanent members of the Playable Countries Council. Venice doesn't get an official round trade node either. The Netherlands do. And Russia does. And Portugal doesn't. So yeah, end game playable countries rather than starter playable countries is the idea. So we'll want to grab a nice hearty orange. And then, do we settle for brown? There's room for a brighter green. That's yet unspoken for. I guess I could just go sample the color off of the clean map. If I change my mind, it's easily replaced. No one's going to spend much time looking at Russia's trade node. It's just not what you're here for. Just tucked away there at the edge. Spawning these in the absolute center of the board when I open them as new layer. Yeah, it stands out nicely. The original ones have the kind of hatching to them to fade them in. Also, they're on different angles. This does what it needs to. You know, all trade zones which emerge from the Alpine Highlands. The source of all shipping. Little formatting thing. So all the dots for cities seem to be vaguely where the actual named city for the province is, so I tried to leave them where they were within reason, wherever they fit. Tax numbers on the baseboard seemed to just go wherever Phil felt like it. I tried to enforce a bit of consistency of whenever reasonable, the tax number is just at the bottom right of the name. Kind of gradually, each time I looked over the map, occasionally grabbed a name, put it somewhere, put the number somewhere close to it. Makes the overall thing more readable, creates that expectation for the eyes. Just a little thing. All 10 points of Ottoman trade. Yeah, gang's all here. Just need to be numbered up. Yeah, around 18 points is probably right. Yeah, readable. Took that long to get to sound of being ambushed. English home trade node, 50 points. 50 cash ducat. So I think these numbers are like the bonuses for Monopoly specifically. And until you achieve Monopoly, there's just some cash amount proportional to how many trade fleets you have. Something like that. Yeah, all the text on each of these maps has also been flattened down into bitmap over the course of the revision and cleaning. And just go ahead and label each of the national nodes. Land of the Eng. As you know. The land they call the bottom, the underside, the deep. None of the square trade zones are directly labeled. By implication, you call them by the C zone that they're in. But each square is just blank. There, just take an unreasonable amount of time to retrieve an umlaut. That's all them trade zones. All that remains is danger levels on the ocean. And for that, just pop over to here, where I've isolated a specimen. One happy little cloud. Which actually on the board there's a spectrum of progressively angrier clouds for the higher danger ratings. But for readability's sake, I think the core of this needs to be that there's just a dot. A flat white dot here that you put the number on. Square in the middle. And that's immutable. Everything else cloud-related occurs under it. Spend a moment fishing around in the tool options. They went and got themselves unstuck. Now we have something allegedly chalk-like. Soul UI is quite happy to come unhooked from itself with the slightest provocation. It's modular. Yeah, there we go. There's the texture I'm looking for. Yeah, perfect. That's a cloud. And then just need to extend out that bit of a zap. Which I would think for caricature shape, that should be actually very sharp. Very exact. Maybe even have it fork out a bit. as lightning do. Yeah. Give it some teeth. Don't want to overcomplicate it, though. Yeah, thin it out a little. You want to draw good lightning, just think about roots. Draw roots. Shape-wise, they're the same thing. They're a natural phenomena, finding the shortest path to something. Finding a series of shortest paths to something. Iterated. Particles, following self-similar rules. Yeah, it's probably gonna look about right. And once again, do the other method of just copying out the bits I want, merging them into one layer. Then I can then copy this and paste it everywhere it needs to go. And it has a lot of places to go. Every C-zone has a danger rating. Okay, I had already created a layer called C Danger. Good. Always be ready. The sea is in a permanent state of danger. Yes, those slot in nicely over the originals. I think the lowest score on the danger scale is a 3? It might be 4. Goes all the way up to 9, and then it actually goes to 11. Even the Sea of Marmara, this tiny strait, where you are always within arm's reach of populous landmass. Still danger 4. You will crash a boat somewhere along the length of this. Alright, that's all our clouds in line. Lightning doesn't look half bad over the ocean. Does its job. And we can go ahead and retrieve those danger numbers. In that, this is another bit of data that I went ahead at some point in the past. And just wrote it all up on that clean map that's at the back of the rules PDF. So you got 4 in the Caspian, the Black Sea, and the Eastern Mediterranean. Ramps up to 5 in the West Mediterranean. 4 also up in the Baltic. Then 5 in the North Sea and in Biscay. And then 6 as you start to get out into the Northwest. As you start to face the real Atlantic. That's as rude as the water gets on the Europe map. It gets angrier on everywhere else. So I can just set that off to the side. Start putting these numbers in. Hand positioned danger numbers. See, over here we have the pleasant water. It's only moderately dangerous. When your boat crashes here, someone might find it. Or you. Eventually. Man, so many of these tracks that you only hear very briefly when playing through the game. The Spooky Hotel in Zombie Town. Come on, just grab the number. There are buttons that this says lock the layers, but they don't do any of what I would expect them to. Such are the mysteries. And just like that, Europe map is now feature complete. Just like that, the half of the game that no one probably ever played is now playable. Before, and after. Every element has been reproduced in a format that I can more easily get at and tamper with in isolation. So any adjustments I would want to make to palette formatting, positioning, that's all easily done without disrupting the whole. I could take this and branch it out into a file. That can be placed in some sort of virtual tabletop environment and be put to good work. Now onto world. Where, yeah, all the stuff up here, the mechanic grid is feature complete. Just have a few more passes of icons that want to go onto the main map. Which, speaking of, hey, are these trade zone icons the same size? Yeah, just about. So those should be directly reusable. Just head over and grab that from the file. Find the right layer. Yeah, perfect. No additional icons needed for out here on world. Piracy icon, and then I need to put together like a colony zone data cube. Or there's 4 core numbers associated with every colonial zone, and then up to 3 trade goods. The red lines dividing provinces here, that's a colony zone. All of the individual provinces inside of each of these boundaries have the same stats. And the same, like, shared pool of resources they're drawing from. So if I just take off the terrain there for a moment. So for example, Amazon in there has 3 points of... What is that circle for? Is that fur? Fur. From the Amazon. Is that a thing? Was there a South American fur export? It's not sugar, or tobacco, or cotton. Or fish. Is there a Latin American fur export? Was that a thing? What fur-bearing animal was there in the jungle that was being exported? If any. But anyway, so there's 3 points of fur that have to be split between all colonies in this zone. So if 4 points of colonies, say belonging to competing countries, end up settled in here, there's mechanics where they have to fight it out for access to these resources. There's limits. And then all of these provinces have in common the 096 stat line and 100 points of native resistance that will show up if you start trouble. and so forth. Anyway, let's get some more trade zones pasted on. All of the rest of world trade zones have pirate risk attached to them. Pirate fleets can show up and start picking off merchants, becoming a hassle. $20 trade zone. China. As you do. Some of these tracks are very quiet. I can give them another notch of volume. Alright then, do a round of printing out some clouds. Get all these zones marked, then we can think about new icons. Consolidate old data. But the C-Risk icons on this map are noticeably smaller than the Euro ones. To scale this down. Small cloud. Smaller, fuzzier cloud. And the bubble you can see over here. Some zones, they have a risk rating and then an additional modifier of just even more dangerous. They go beyond. I don't need to keep track of the exact locations of the originals here, as long as every zone gets a cloud. And that makes sure I'm working with the new names rather than the previous pass. That's a bit close. I may want to move that trade icon up a bit. Very good. Very long sea zone, Gulf of California. You know, just everything from Oregon to Costa Rica. Same zone. Close enough. Ah, the ocean. Don't worry. No one will ever know. Nobody suspects a thing. The Roaring Forties. Actual nautical term. A real place on the historic ocean. I see. No one will ever know. Nobody suspects a thing. Just a bit of this newfangled movable type. Age deployed. Suppose CFT more here should be moved over a little bit. It's kind of riding that line. Yes, the Australian Sea, from which none have ever returned. Who knows what strange mythic lands may yet lie beyond. Yeah, that's all of them on there. Numbering them off can happen off camera. Although, once again, to summarize, it'd collect that data at some point. Yes, on this. Where I think I built this image by taking the scan and, like, selecting... I may have done, like, a first rough trace of all the boundaries, just to have the lines down. And then kept those as an image. Yeah, it has all the weird shapiness of the original world map. This is a trace I did at some much earlier point. Just in order to have boundaries, and a blank copy of this is somewhere that I could then use as a foundation for shaded in maps. It's mostly 5 to 6, occasional big 7 in the middle of... in the dead zone inside of one of the major currents. Because, like, the general movement of large winds is that there's big circuits, large cyclones that form, of which 2 of those big spirals, 2 or 3, were important for conducting trade all about, because one of them is down West Africa, across the Atlantic to Brazil, then up the American coast and back across to the North Sea. That is a feasible route to sail a ship around repeatedly over and over again throughout the year. Then there's a matching cycle south and so forth. And then the sheer bigness of the Pacific means that there's more peril at work for trying to just sail. Such that, for the most part, the great expanse of the Pacific is represented by just this danger 10 zone over here. This 8+2. This do not. You sure you want to cross the date line? Try it. Cross the 8, then the 10, and then another 8 as you arrive on the far side. Well, not necessarily. If you were going down into the Isles, you catch that early, and then you're back into 5s and 4s. But if you're trying to go just straight from California to Japan, you're about to have a time. So that'll all get labeled at some point. Why there are zones with a plus extra instead of just a higher overall threat rating. It has something to do with the particulars of the dice. There's a table you consult or something. Which will also have to add those plus icons when the time is right. Next up, let's give ourselves a space budget. Pirate icon is very simple. That's just going to be... This is a 30 by 26. Yeah, just get yourself a skull and bones and some numbers next to it. Probably widen it a little into a square, then have room for the numbers on the pirate tile. Like to the left and right of the skull. Yeah, actually, let's work on that next. Copy this. Get over to a fresh 30 by 30 file. Dive in there. Enhance skeleton. So center line is around there. So we're looking for a skill around these parameters. Just need to put the motion capture orbs onto the skull, as you do. Very tangible. Refuses to be calibrated. And so underneath that general profile, the whole tile in black. Maybe it's just very slightly bevel it. Do like a little 1 pixel gray line around the edge. And then a lighter gray up here. Yeah. And an in-between gray on the corners. One skeleton bevel. And that leaves space for a small number up here and over here. I could even, like, provide underlines for. Yeah, let's see, how much space have I given myself before contact with the skull? It's a little 8 by 10. Put a test character here, and let's take a 6. Yeah, I can fit 12-point font into both of these gaps reasonably. Just doing that thing again, where it decides numbers should be very big. Yeah, that works. That should be legible. Yeah, let's just leave, like, an underline there. On skeleton layer. That's where numbers belong. How best to bring through one skeleton? How sharply should these bones appear? On a scale of tangibility. Hmm. Missing something. There are some faces. Okay, there's part of the problem. I shouldn't be producing the skull on the same layer as the background. Just provide another backing here. And furthermore on that front, I'd want to isolate out my text. My space allocated for text. Yeah, there's my guide marks. And then here, on a nice in-between layer. This is where I can start working. Welcome to Moonside. You know whose bones are on this icon? Bones. 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 How is one even meant to convey a bones with so few pixels? Well, Phil did it. Where did he find those bones? The science of bones. That might be close enough. It's kind of functional. I can always go back and revise the skill. It's a bit bright. What if I just deepen it a bit? Extreme close-up. Yeah, that might function. For now. Export the unmarked icon. Pull it back in here. And grab a copy of it to spread around. Back to this world's map. Where there is already a pirate lair waiting to receive some bones. Yeah, this skull is lacking a separate jawline. That's what's going on here. This, yeah, you just separate the jaw entirely in a cartoon skull. Hold on. Get back to the skeleton board here. It's time for surgery. Just need to cut that out completely. Then extend a bit, but not entirely. No direct contact. There, that's a more proper skull. Arrive on pirate layer with work to do. The problem's the skull. We're here to replace your skull. And of course, more can be done with the skull at a later date. Oh, some of these only have one pirate-related number. Weird. Most of these only have one pirate-related number. Alright, all skulls replaced. %9,000% zoom, briefly achieved. Alright. Now it's time to think about some manner of colonial data cube. I also haven't touched gold mines at all. I need to draw myself an ingot or some other appropriate gold mine icon. Something to represent gold. So if I give myself about a 20 by 32, I could put together a nice placard to hold the trio of numbers here. These are like tax value, colony difficulty, and something else. And then local population rating. And then the four of those together on a plaque of some sort. Should be able to achieve emptiness. How hard could it be? It's nothing. Let's get in here. Have a think. Color scheme will be important. Needs to be something bright that will show up on all the terrain types, which are mostly earthy tones. And that's presumably just going to have black text on it. I suppose first and foremost thing I can do to calibrate this, so let's put a sample. Put some sample text on it. All the colony stats for the lower bar are going to be single-digit values. None of them are bigger than 9. So that is valid placeholding. Suppose I'd want to space it out a bit more. Maybe. Nah, no real need. Bold it, maybe. Yeah. Too much. So 10 point up top and 12 point below. That works. Yeah, maybe just go for some nice grayscale. Here on this business card for colonization. Yeah, just a little placard like this that provides a space on which to write the text. Size 10 for both. Yeah, then both strings have room to exist. Only limited readability from way the hell back here, but being frank, this is going to be played only in a digital medium, and so it's probably going to be mostly viewed from like 2 to 4x. Also, all this information has been stowed in the side on a sheet. Well, I can always take a specimen over to the board and see how it looks. So the thought would be that for each zone, we need one of these containing the vitals. It's a bit hefty, like that. So I could also try to pair it off with the names of the colonies. All the ones that have a landmass to them have room to kind of stow this somewhere. Terre-Neuve is an outlier. That Terre-Neuve has been made this weird, crunched mass. I'll just shop around with this card for the moment. Plenty of parts of the map where there's lots of room. I think the real problem will be when we get to, like, India. India is cut into some very small zones. Americas seem mostly okay. African coast might be able to accommodate. Yeah, especially in here, this is where the map gets really, really grossly overcrowded. Just trying to fit too much stuff in not enough space. And when they have so much open ocean over here, like, if you're gonna bend any rules about the scaling of this world map, which is already clearly very flexible, why not exaggerate any zone where a lot of stuff is supposed to be happening? So that you have room to place tokens and write text. This is before the invention of the Johann projection. Alright, so I think this size of text box is functional for that purpose. Might take a bit of chopping around. Maybe shave the edges off of it as well. Or round out the corners. Just to get that slightest bit of space back. The entire rest of Iran here is Europe province and follows Europe rules. It just didn't fit on the Europe map. It's got tax, it's got forts. It's very tough. Iran, with all of its mountains, comprehensive fortifications. Unbreakable. Alright, so this or something like it can work out. For a colony name tag. For a label to grapple on here somewhere. Although once you have like a lot of these in place, let's just simulate if I had popped a bunch of these labels onto the Americas here. Yeah, that's not a great look as these start to add up. Given the choice, probably preferable to just take that data off of the board entirely. Make use of the spreadsheet. All the names are on there. It's just one more document to cross-reference in what's already a heavily written up slice of cardboard. Yeah, if I strip back the layers again here, the gold mines would make sense to label, since those are all in specific provinces, rather than being regional values. trade goods can also just be noted off-board. It only takes a brief glance looking around to be reminded of how much of this had to be pushed off of land into the sea to accommodate how crowded this is. Also, this weird red to very light orange gradient that's on these numbers. Just fill decisions from 1993. Yeah, given the choice. Hold on, let me... Whoop. Too close. Yeah, just make sure I had filled in that island. This is Dungeon Man. And this is Dungeon Man. Yeah, so I need to put numbers on all those risk zones. Note the bonus dots for extra risk. Then all the gold mines, both for here and for the couple that exist on the Europe map. So the basic gold icon they have down there. Just a simple... just an ingot. Don't you have to go off to a separate workbench for this? Let me just burrow in here. One gold. Behold. Definitely gold. Authentic non-butter gold. Very definite, real gold. Gold. Just kind of stopped being selected for a moment there. So much gold. Some of the especially big 50-point gold mines. The real serious ducats. And no more of those out here. So with those in place, yeah, just need to do all that numbering and those couple of extra icons, and then world will be assembled. Which leaves me to dive back into here and rectify that there's some gold that needs to be marked out. Yeah, it's the one in Toledo. And then... two in Styria. And I should grab the sheet. clear view of all of these, just to be sure. Because, that bar absolutely disappears into the original scan. None in France. None in Germany. None in Scandinavia. Only that one in Toledo. One in Carinthia. Yes, that is indeed another bar right there. And then, out in Armenia, there is another bar. Right there. There. Now, feature complete. One Europe. Europe in alpha. And with those few remaining touch-ups that can happen on their own time, world will be functional as well. Assembled. Leaving only the question of recruitment and logistics. Try to organize some kind of regular session by which to put this into action. Well, and then also I could go through the efforts of working with the counters as well. Way back early on, there was a session of thinking about how to reformat counters and the data they're on. The actual work of redrawing some icons for them for use. That'd be the post-final thing to do. Player count for the grand campaign is 5 or 6. It's meant to be 6. 5-player rules if 1 player becomes 2 players. Ish. Yeah, it's nice to have something to show for this. This is functional.